On March 17th, Elon Musk claimed that he is working on the new master plan, part 3, or maybe it'll be called part tres, since he had part 2 for part 2. Anyway, I want to put myself in Elon Musk's head for just a little bit and see if I can accurately predict what he's going to have in his master plan part 3. And for those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks, and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So first of all, this is my favorite picture that I ever took. It's actually blown up on something. It's been sitting in storage, unfortunately, because we can't figure out a place to put it, but it is a person, oh my gosh, I think her name was Emily. Anyway, I ended up meeting up with her and a group of people climbing Mount Teased, and you can see the Grand Teton. This is all near Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Anyway, it's a really cool shot, and you can see it in the background, and I'll probably figure out some place to put it on the set, although it is rather big, so... Anyway, for now, it's just going to live right there. I was really happy to discover that again. I think I took that in 2015, so it's like 7 years old now. But that was from the top of Mount Teased near Jackson Hole, or Grand Teton National Park, however you want to count that. Anyway, I just thought that was worth pointing out. And before I get into the meat of the topic, I just want to show this graphic that CNBC did. This is a little bit old at this point already. This was actually from Solving the Money Problem. I watched that this morning, and I was blown away by the fact that nickel has gone up from about $20,000 per ton to it went up to over 100,000. I think it's back down to like 40,000 now. So anyway, it's very, very high. And this is going to put a significant drag on any company that's trying to start an EV company up because nickel is so important for batteries. Interestingly enough, Tesla, of course, has purchased multi-year contracts with lots of companies for nickel mining, so they should have a much more stable price. And of course, they're moving over to LFP, or lithium iron phosphate technology, for a lot of their cars, so they won't need nickel nearly as much. But anyway, this is going to have a much more significant impact on everybody else besides Tesla, but I thought it was worth pointing this out because it's actually a major advantage to Tesla in the fact that they're not going to be subject to quite the volatility because they've already got contracts in place. All right, so let's start with Elon Musk's tweet. It's rather simple. Working on Master Plan Part 3 at 12:19 a.m. He always does this in the middle of the night, March 17th of 2022. So anyway, so that's when he posted it. And what I'm going to do is briefly review parts 1 and 2. I will leave the link to both of those original master plans in the description if you want to read them at more length. I'm just going to do the major takeaways from it. And by the way, I figured this was the perfect shirt for this today. It's the Tesla Bot shirt. By the way, this was January of 2021 when I put this thing out on my merch store. You can actually check it. It's been there that long. So I've been saying Tesla Bot, and I've had Optimus Subprime and stuff like that on the brain since then. So I think I have a reasonable track record. And also, I'm going to end this video today with a 4 bullet point thing. So Elon, each one of his master plans has ended with a 4 bullet point kind of overview of what he's talking about. I'm going to put out there 4 bullet points. And so you guys, if Elon comes up with Master Plan Part 3 tomorrow, you can check it, cross-reference it directly and see how right or wrong I am. So Elon, I hope I'm somewhat close to correct. And maybe if I get 3 out of 4 correct, Elon will send me a gold star or something. Or he could always send me a Model S Plaid. I guess that'd be a nice little reward. Anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So here we have the original master plan. You can see August 2nd of 2006. So 16 years ago. And this is just hysterical that, gosh, think about it. 16 years ago, he had to say who he was. He had to identify himself, right? My day job's running a space transportation company called SpaceX. But on the side, I'm chairman of Tesla Motors and help formulate the business and product strategy with Martin and the rest of the team. I have also been Tesla Motors' primary funding source from when the company was just 3 people and a business plan. In other words, they had nothing. So anyway, I find it kind of adorable that Elon Musk, felt the need to introduce himself 16 years ago. All right, so here's the bottom of the first master plan, and I'm going to focus on the 4 bullet points. Build a sports car, that was the Roadster. Use that money to build an affordable car, that was the Model S and Model X. Use that money to build an even more affordable car, which would be the Model 3 and Model Y, which we have now, but that took more than 10 years. These master plans seem to have a vision of approximately 10 years-ish or so, something like that. And then while doing above, also provide zero-emission electric power generation options. And of course, that would be the solar roof and the solar panels that Tesla sells. And of course, don't tell anyone, shh, tongue in cheek, right? So moving on to Master Plan Part 2, or Part 2, we have almost exactly 10 years later, July 20th, 2016. He recaps what he did in the original master plan, and then he goes on to say what the 4 major takeaways or bullet points for this master plan are. So in short, Master Plan Part 2 is create stunning solar roofs with seamlessly integrated battery storage, which by the way has been done, and that's the only way you can actually buy Powerwalls anymore for a personal use, is to do it either with their solar panels or with their solar roofs. And I would say that they're still rolling this out and they've been having a shaky start with this. It seems like it's much more difficult to produce these tiles than they thought, so they're still working on that. So anyway, that's part 1. Expand the electric vehicle product line to address all major segments. Remember, this was 2016, so they have introduced the Model 3 and the Model Y since then, at least into production. And of course, we've got the Tesla Semi and the Tesla Cybertruck, which have both been announced. Tesla Semi is already in early production stages. Cybertruck is supposed to be just about a year from now when it's going to be coming out. We also, of course, are still awaiting the $25,000 car. And the other major segment that I can think of is short haul delivery, like, UPS style trucks or vans or something along those lines. You could also put in RVs and things, but I don't know if that's a big enough market that they're going to really worry about it. So anyway, that's in process, let's say. Develop a self-driving capability that is 10 times safer than manual via massive fleet learning. Obviously, they were working on this. And of course, you could make an argument based on Tesla's statistics that it already is on the order of 10 times safer than manual alone. Now, of course, this is a hybrid driving situation where the person is still officially in charge of the car. So, call it done or not done. I would say it's still definitely in process, but we're definitely making progress towards what they want to do. And bullet point number 4 is something that they really haven't gotten done yet, which is enabling car to make money for you when you aren't using it. That, of course, would be the famed robo-taxi fleet. So again, if we think about this as kind of a 10-year vision, we're looking at 2026 as the end of Master Plan Part 2. It's rather interesting that Elon Musk is talking about a Master Plan Part 3 only 6 years after the first one. It seems like he's accelerating this, and certainly we can see that these things have not been accomplished yet. So we're looking at, another 4 years or so. We should actually see most of these things be accomplished. But I think what, Elon Musk is saying here by saying he's working on Master Plan Part 3 is, number one, Tesla has a lot more funding than they used to, and they're in much more solid financial shape, so they can be more aggressive. And number 2, that he thinks things are proceeding along pretty darn well in Master Plan Part 2. All right, so let's turn to my thoughts now, right? That was all history. That's all stuff that's already been said. I'm going to turn to Master Plan Part 3 because like I said, I'm just going to use Spanish instead of French this time. I expect Elon Musk is going to review parts 1 and 2. So he'll say part 1 was mostly about transportation, but also somewhat about energy generation. And for the most part, it's done and dusted. Part 2 was more varied. They want more vehicle varieties, power generation and storage, autonomy, and making money for you. And again, we're about 6 years into, a 10-ish year plan, so it's still ongoing. All right, so now on to the good stuff. Part 3 is going to be more varied, but also more focused. So we're going to have more vehicle varieties, star, power generation and storage, star, making you money, star, and the star is autonomy. And yes, we're also going to touch on AGI, or artificial general intelligence. So what I'm saying here is that autonomy is going to be at the heart of everything in Master Plan Part 3. So more vehicle varieties, like I said, that $25,000, it's going to be a $30,000 car anyway, but it will be full self-driving. You're going to have trucks full self-driving, Cybertruck full self-driving. If they produce a van in the next 10 years or so, 2032, 2033, that will also have complete full self-driving capabilities. All the cars that they've produced so far, either with the hardware that's in there right now or with a drop-in hardware replacement, will be able to do full self-driving at, let's say, 100x what the standard human, on the bell curve, the average human driver, it'll be 100 times safer than the average human driver, which will put it way out on the edge of the bell curve. Power generation and storage, auto bidder is already in existence. And what they're going to do is roll that out for the ability for regular people just like us, individuals to do it for individual households, all the way up to massive mega farms and things that produce power and also store power. It's going to have the auto bidder software that already pretty much exists. So I don't know if he'll actually explicitly state that in the master plan because it kind of already exists, but I think rolling it out and making it generally workable so that the consumer, whoever that consumer is, whether it's an individual consumer or a massive power company, will have the ability to make money using AI software to auto bid on software prices. In other words, energy arbitrage, where you can go back and forth between selling and buying power depending on what the rates are at a given time. So of course, that will be part of the making you money thing. So part of that will be if you have a solar roof and a power wall, you can actually make money as an individual or as a power company, all the way up, scaling, from one to the other. The other part, of course, will be the robotaxi fleet, which should hopefully come into existence. If you haven't seen my video from yesterday, I did one talking about the massive global economic impact of trucking with autonomy. So all of that stuff is important. So again, from the small scale consumer through medium-sized truck fleets and things like that, up to massive fleets and things, everybody will be able to make money and improve their economic situation via having autonomy in their vehicles and in other types of robots. So what's at the heart of all of this? Tesla vision is at the heart of all of this. If you can fully understand the world around you, you can fully interact with it. And of course, there's Tesla control as well. In other words, you have to be able to interact with the world, but I consider that a relatively straightforward problem compared with the understanding the world around you. I have done a whole bunch of videos on this stuff, so definitely check out playlists, videos, things like that about what it means to understand the world around you. But at heart, what it means is taking all of the pixels of all of the cameras that these things have, converting those into an object-oriented vector space, and then understanding that vector space. So saying, over here is a person, up there is a surfboard, over here is some books, there's a drone, there's a photograph of a person, right? So it's understanding what's going on. It's segmenting the world into lots of pieces, vectorizing that into a sparse vector matrix rather than a dense raster matrix, and then understanding what that is. That's specifically what Tesla vision is. That's at the heart of all of this. If you can do it, you can figure out everything else. That of course leads us to full self-driving, which again, robotaxi fleet, etc., will allow people to make money, but also make the world a safer place. And of course, Tesla bot. Both of these together are going to create a labor force that is not human via AI and robotics technology. So again, full self-driving effectively will become a labor force because if you can send your car out, or if Tesla creates a robotaxi fleet, whoever that is, that person can send these cars out into the world without a human being in those cars, and they can make money and increase the labor force, right? And instead of having a human being driving the car, these things can drive themselves. That increases the labor force. And then of course, Tesla bot, whether it's working at the factory, I don't know, vacuuming the carpet in your house, going to the grocery store for you and buying food, right? So the car drives it to the grocery store, it goes shopping, picks up the stuff you need, comes back home again and puts it in your pantry and your refrigerator. These all increase the labor force in a variety of different ways, all the way from, again, industrial stuff, all the way down to very, very domestic things. Those are increasing the labor force. And Elon Musk has been all about this. So I think that's definitely going to be part of his master plan, explicitly discussed. And of course, while this is not Tesla, this also impinges on SpaceX's mission to go to Mars. I think that the Tesla bot is a crucial element of SpaceX getting to Mars and creating a habitable world out of that place. So again, I don't expect that part to be mentioned in Tesla's master plan because that's Tesla, but Tesla is integrating this with SpaceX to create a situation where you've got these Tesla bots, which are going to be developed on Earth and then kind of hardened with radiation hardened, elements and stuff, sent to Mars to construct things for us human beings, us fragile little meat bags, to go and follow them and start to inhabit Mars. And I think it's also important to point out that all of this stuff is kind of a defensive move, because what we're talking about here, and Elon Musk has said this multiple times, so this is not just me. He said, this solving full self-driving or solving computer vision at a more broad level is confronting and solving one of the biggest parts of artificial general intelligence, which is being able to understand and interact with the world. So I think that this is a defensive move. Elon Musk has talked about you don't want companies with bad intent or countries with bad intent to be solving AGI first, because it's a really, really big tool. It's a big, big hammer, right? If you've got the rest of your, your murder apes, I love James S.A. Corey's quote about that. It's from The Expanse. They say murder apes as human beings. But anyway, if you've got all of us murder apes with sticks and stones, and then somebody comes along with like a hammer, a big hammer, or a saw, or some major piece of technological advantage, that gives them a massive advantage over everybody else. So you really want a company or a governmental entity with a good heart to be solving this first. So like I said, I think that this is partly a defensive move on Tesla's part. All right, so let us state the master plan in 4 bullet points. And I'm going to try to make it sound kind of like what Elon Musk has written previously. Create a wider variety of vehicles that can all drive themselves. Develop scalable micro to mega energy generation and storage that makes you money. Increase the labor force with autonomous cars and humanoid robots, the Tesla bot. Enable a solution to artificial general intelligence. And yeah, that last one's a biggie, but I actually think that that's going to be the last bullet point in Elon Musk's master plan. All right, so number 1, create a wider variety of vehicles that can all drive themselves. This is part of the previous master plans, and so again, it might not be as explicitly mentioned, but they still haven't finished this, right? They still haven't got all of these segments, and they still can't all drive themselves. So I think that that will actually be explicitly stated in the master plan. The second one, which is energy generation and storage, again, was in master plan part 1 and 2, but again, this is going to have AI, and maybe he'll say something like scalable micro to mega energy generation and storage that makes you money via artificial intelligence or machine learning software or something like that. It might be a little more explicit. But again, I think autonomy is a huge element of this. That's why if you look above when I had this, all of these things were starred because autonomy is at all of their hearts. And then we get to the real meat of the next 10-year vision. Increase the labor force with autonomous cars and humanoid robots. So full self-driving and the Tesla bot. Those 2 things are huge. The full self-driving is going to happen sooner. Again, I'm predicting that it's going to be feature complete level 4 by the end of this year. And then we're looking at how long governmental entities decide to wait in terms of regulating this in and allowing the car to drive itself completely. Again, as I said in the video that I did yesterday, countries and states and things like that that delay this are going to lose out on gross domestic product. They're not going to be able to compete with countries and states that do allow this. So it's going to be much to everyone's economic advantage to allow Tesla and anybody else, if they can do this, although it's going to be crazy, to be able to solve this type of thing in order to help reduce the cost of transportation of human beings and of products. And of course, as part of this whole thing is the Dojo and other supercompute clusters. Elon Musk lately has talked about, good luck to everybody else doing this because they've spent over $1 billion on creating Dojo and the other supercompute cluster. I don't know what that one's called right now. It needs another name. But anyway, I'm sure they have an internal name for it. But anyway, they've got a supercompute cluster. They probably have. Dojo is probably actually beginning to come online now, given the fact that it's been, 6 or 7 months since AI Day, and they already had sort of proof of concept things working. So anyway, all of this stuff hardware-wise costs a ton of money, but also software-wise. You got to have genius programmers. You got to have a huge team of people doing things like labeling and creating code so that you don't have to label anymore. Again, I've talked about all of this stuff. But so it's not just the edge computing. It's not just the entities themselves, the Tesla bot and the cars. It's also all of this, the back end stuff that is required to solve all of this thing. So it's a massive, massive undertaking. But the end result of it is it's going to increase the labor force. And I'm almost guarantee that Elon Musk is going to have labor force in there, increase the labor force in some form or another as one of his bullet points, his major takeaways from part trace. And then the last one that again is going out on a limb a little bit more, but I really think that this is going to be in the master plan part 3, is to enable a solution to artificial general intelligence. So that is not creating necessarily a human being like intelligence or consciousness, but something that can fully interact with the world, that allows a car or a robot or whatever to walk around safely, to interact with people, hopefully in a friendly and kind manner, to have all of those sort of daily interactions. And again, that happens in a car as well, right? You drive your car and you're always negotiating with the people around you in terms of like, do I get to go first? Do I stay in my lane? Do I pull over to where you are? Do I try to get in front of you if there's kind of a weird situation where the traffic lanes are merging? You're always engaging with other people, even though you're doing it inside your car in that case. But then, of course, when you're walking around and going shopping and things like that, you're engaging with people in a much more personal manner. So the Tesla bot's going to have to do that. Of course, at the beginning, Elon has said that they're going to put it in their factories first to kind of beta test it. So it'll be interesting to see how it works in that, but that'll be a relatively contained environment that it exists in. But eventually, if it works, it's going to, broaden out. It will eventually be going grocery shopping. You'll be, picking up some bananas at the produce aisle, and you're going to see a Tesla bot next to you doing the same thing and maybe squeezing the bananas and looking at them to see if they're green or if they've started to go brown. It'll be a weird event, but that should happen in the next 10 years or so. So anyway, it's all about autonomy, and it's all about scaling from all the way from the individual up to the largest entities, largest corporate or governmental entities. That's what Master Plan Part Trace is going to be all about, at least according to what I'm thinking and trying to get in Elon Musk's head. I'm trying to think what Elon Musk is thinking, and that's what I predict is going to happen. Of course, I'll be super interested to see what you all think is in there, and if I missed something major that you think I should be in there, or if you think I just totally blew it on one of these 4 points, definitely let me know in the comments. And of course, whenever Elon Musk gets around to publishing Part Trace of his master plan, I of course will have to do another video where I'll either have to eat crow or I'm going to have to give myself kudos for guessing right or guessing wrong. So we will see what happens. It'll be very interesting no matter what. All right, I hope you found this episode fun and enjoyable and a little bit thought-provoking. If you did, please do like the video so other people can find it. And of course, consider subscribing for more of this kind of content. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Thank you all so much for your support. I'm loving the conversations that we're having right now. It's a whole variety of conversations. And of course, for my Patreon patrons, but anyone else as well who's going to be in Austin, Texas, the 6th through the 9th of April, I'm going to be there as well. So please let me know and look me up either on Discord if you're one of my Patreon patrons or via Twitter if you're not. And if you do want to join the team, definitely check out the link in the description to see how you can become a Patreon member. And if you're interested in a whole bunch of really cool merch, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. We have Tesla Bot t-shirts, the Tesla meme t-shirt, Success is a Possible Outcome, 4680 battery cells. All of that stuff is on t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, and on. So check it out. And for those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks, and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Thank you. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a solar roof, wow, a power wall, wow, or anything on Amazon helps out the channel. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.